Hello and well met. This is Laerun with Fantasy Grounds Academy. Going to talk to the public and to our community about a recruitment opportunity that we have been trying to get launched since September. Basically, we're looking for volunteers to help us show, inspire, and help people with Fantasy Grounds, and also to show them what it can do. So we are looking for volunteers that are basically, have the time to share their knowledge of role-playing games and also sharing their passion for the hobby itself. So we are a non-profit community fan-based club. We do not work for Smiteworks, or we're not part of the company, although we do have a good working relationship with them. But basically, we're looking for volunteers. Fantasy Grounds, play your favorite role-playing games. Traditionally, we've been mostly doing Fantasy Grounds through D&D, but I think that with having a variety of rule sets that's supported on Fantasy Grounds, that there's no reason why we can't provide more additional rule sets. So we are not just 5th edition. We also have other people that are passionate about Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, all different kinds of rule sets. So just wanted you to know that and to give you the opportunity to join our community and basically help us teach everyone the value and also the fun that can be had with Fantasy Grounds. The platform itself is pretty robust. It has a lot of working pieces to it. It'll actually do a lot of cool things for you. For example, if you haven't used Fantasy Grounds before, it has a built-in dice roller, so you can roll dice accordingly. You can also use a dice tower to hide your dice rolls. That's something that can also be done. For those of you that are returning back to face-to-face games, you go into the options. You have the wherewithal and the choice to do a manual dice roll. So if you turn that option on, basically you get to roll the dice, and you can input the numbers that come from the table. So if you, let's say you roll a 20-sided for somebody at your group table, and once you do that, it's going to pop up a dialog box. Let's say your player rolls a 13. So I'll put that number in, click the check button, and it puts it out here in the display for me, for the Game Master. And if you have it applied to anything like attack rolls or saves or anything, it'll do all the math for you. So Fantasy Grounds is also a way that you can play it manually in person and have your entire library at your fingertips. So it's not a bad tool. It sure does beat lugging around a bunch of dice and a bunch of books. So you can have things loaded in your library. Like I said, if you have a laptop and you have no internet, you can still use Fantasy Grounds without that worry. Even if you don't have power, you can take Fantasy Grounds up camping with you, take a couple batteries with you, or maybe an adapter for your car, and run the game through your laptop and just have all your character sheets printed out ahead of time. So that's a cool feature that Fantasy Grounds does have, being a built-in application. It does have some quirks to it that some people may not like. It may not be for everybody, but it definitely does the job, and it does a very good job at organizing content. So if you like organization, or even if you like, things to be categorized and set up the way you want ahead of time, you can do that very easily in Fantasy Grounds. So you have a nice combat tracker that keeps track of a lot of different things. Like there's tons of different things that Fantasy Grounds can keep track of for you to make your gameplay a lot easier. So it's a really good tool to use. I wasn't paid to do this, or I'm not getting any kickbacks or anything to say this. I'm saying this out of honesty. It's one of the better platforms out there. I don't really compare it to anything else because it's pretty unique and different. I would say the only main difference is, all the platforms have strengths and weaknesses. But one of the strengths of Fantasy Grounds is that it offers a unique experience. Once you get used to the interface and how things interact and how the rule set interfaces with the actual Fantasy Grounds functionality, you'll really appreciate what it can do for you. It's a little bit of practice and time. You'll definitely be able to do some pretty cool things with Fantasy Grounds. A lot of it's rule set dependent, so depending on what rules you're using will also depend on your, will dictate what your experience is like and your familiarity, of course. So you have a combat tracker that keeps track of a lot of different variables in the game, like initiative, damage, your turns, and that sort of thing. You also have an assets area where you can store tokens and portraits and images, and you can import your own, or you can use some of the ones that are included in the official content. So it does a really good job with managing items and different categories within your campaign. You have a party sheet too, which allows you to keep track of your group as a whole. So it does a lot of cool things. You can award experience points. You can award quest items, which are basically milestones or goals. You can manage and award loot. So it does a lot of things that some of the other platforms are not capable of. One thing that has me sold on it is if I don't have internet access, I will definitely be able to use Fantasy Grounds regardless, so that even if Fantasy Grounds was to shut down today, I would still have all my books, I would still have access to everything, and I could just run the program until it's no longer compatible with the operating system. So I don't like the idea of being shut out. So definitely give it a try. It's self-contained. It doesn't rely on internet only for updates and for online play. But if you want to use it around the table, hook it up to a TV, you can do so. It does a lot of good things for Game Masters. It's definitely built around the Game Master experience. It has some really good functionality that I don't think you're going to find anywhere else. A lot of automation in some of the rule sets. There are a lot of different DLC available, so if you like content like that, there's a ton of it. You can get on the DM's Guild, or you can just buy it from the Fantasy Grounds store. And if you like community content that's just for Fantasy Grounds, there's a new Forge now that allows you to create content, upload it, sell it, distribute it from there. And every week, I think Doug Davison, from the co-owner of Fantasy Grounds, puts out a notice that, what rule sets we can create for, so it's still kind of new. But as time is going on, there's been more and more things added. Like you can make content for Vampire the Masquerade. There are some restrictions on what you can make and what you can't make, but that's a pretty good thing. They haven't licensed the D&D content yet, but I think they're working on that. They're also working on Pathfinder, I believe, and there's some other of the larger intellectual properties that they have to smooth out. But a lot of the smaller publishing companies and the companies that really are working with Smiteworks hand in hand are definitely giving us the green light to make content. So it's exciting times. If you used to play with Fantasy Grounds, or you recently abandoned it, or you felt like it wasn't doing what you want, come on back for a while. Maybe in a couple months, you'll be surprised of how much has changed. The map tools has improved a lot. The stability, the actual functionality of it has changed a lot. It's been very positive lately, for the most part. There hasn't been a lot of grief or any instances where I've had to, reboot or anything like that. So it's been pretty good to me. I would say that all in all, it's been a good platform. So anyhow, we were looking for new people to help us teach and train and show others how to use the platform. And that's my main reason I'm here, is to inform you that we're recruiting right now. You can join our Discord. It is in the links in the description of the video. You can also find us online. Just look for Fantasy Grounds Academy. We used to be called Fantasy Grounds College, but we've rebranded recently, so that's been changed. But all in all, it's still the same group, same core group of people. I really appreciate everyone that's been volunteering so far. Like I said, we're nonprofit. We're not getting paid. It's all volunteer. So whatever you can put in, if that's just greeting people and pushing them to the right content or to the right resources, that's huge too. Just sitting down with someone for 20 minutes or 15 minutes explaining to them what Fantasy Grounds can do is definitely something that we need help with. So come on down and help us, and we will surely appreciate your help and your consideration. So with that said, I'm out. Have a good day. Happy gaming.